Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the revolution. Oh gosh, I'm messing this up. I'll cut that out at the end.
Oh, I love it. Anyway.
Yeah, I'll start again. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Awakened Entrepreneur Revolution podcast with Jana and me, Judith. We have a special episode for you today. We have two focus points, two perspectives. One, we want to bring in something, what we've seen and felt around the solar eclipse that we've just had a few days ago. And both of us have been impacted by it in a different way. And Jana, being on that side of the planet where you could actually see it, obviously had a different experience, especially one. On top of that, I could feel the energy over here in Europe as well, but couldn't see it. And then we have another topic to share with you because there's some news here and there's changes coming up. And we're excited. And it will mean a couple of things will change for you guys, but there's new exciting things coming along as well. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Jana to also say hello.
Hello, everybody. I hope you all are having a wonderful day so far. How has the eclipse energy been treating you? I don't know about you, Judith, but I know we talked a little bit before the show. It has been crazy over here in the US. And I don't know if it's that way for everybody, but for those of us that are more sensitive, it's really been something. So anyway, I really can't wait to have this conversation with you. So if you're listening and you felt differently, we're going to talk about it. So listen up.
Yeah. Shall we start really with the eclipse thing because it is so present?
Yeah, I mean, we can. I think so. And then we do. We have some really cool announcements, and it just feels coming together the way this is so perfect. And
It is.
so yeah.
I'm curious to hear, and that would be my first question, maybe in your direction, while we talked before about this eclipse, and I know that you said you were able to actually see it, and that is obviously something I couldn't. So I'm dying to hear how you experienced that and what it really, what it was like, and then what is happening ever since then in your world.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I'm gonna get emotional. So we took the kids out of school because, as the universe would have it, they had spring break the week before. So
Okay.
they had to miss the first 2 days back. And we drove. My husband is from Ohio, and that was in the path of totality.
Mhm.
And so we went to a place that had 100% totality, and we're able to be there. I was with my kids and Brad, and it was something. It was really something.
I can see, I can tell.
I'm gonna have to stop there for a second, but I'll try to do more in a second.
That's all right. I mean, the energy, I can just bring this in from my end. Obviously, I can see it, but what I could feel was the huge, like an energy. I don't know. It wasn't even a beam. It was more like an all over around the world. That's what I felt like it was coming, like a whole, like a light. I don't even know what kind of a shape, but like hugging the earth, like completely surrounding the earth in light. That is what it felt to me. So
Yeah, it felt like it just a shot of energy, just like around, just everywhere. I mean, and it made me really emotional. And I think it just goes to show, like, as we continue to raise our frequency, these certain things, emotions just kind of have to come up and out more and more and more. And so it was beautiful. It was really cool, but that's not why I cry when I think about it. I just think about how I felt, and just such a rush just comes right back of just gratitude, and my girls and my family and my business, like just so many different things. And it was just a really pivotal moment. And I just, when like, I don't know if you all listening, I'm sure you do. Like, sometimes you have to look back in hindsight and go, that was a big moment. But then the more conscious you become, even if it's a little moment that's not even supposed to be a big moment, you know it's a big moment. you know, and I know the eclipse is an obvious big moment, but I wasn't expecting it to just give me such a surge. It's almost like so much so that um, it was like an electricity, and um, it was just so pretty to see everybody there, all different stages of consciousness, and just it was really a beautiful scene because I think sometimes when we, are in our world and doing our thing, and there's so many different people like they're still asleep and aren't even into all of this, but it just felt the connection, no matter where you were. It
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
just,
that's the vibration I'm getting from
okay,
what
I'm
you're
gonna stop.
sharing. Yeah, that's great. That's beautiful because we're all in this, the whole planet is in
We're
this
all in it
journey
together. That's what it
journey of
felt.
connection, right?
Yeah.
This is the belonging, the connection piece, the that type of thing, vibration. And that
Yeah.
is so aligned to this overall journey, right?
Yeah. And it felt like time stopped because it got dark, and it was just really magical. And I guess I hadn't really vocalized it since. So I didn't
Mhm.
I apologize. I'm not going to apologize for crying. Screw that.
No,
But
don't.
I wasn't expecting to get this emotional, but it was a very validating moment, a very connected moment, and a very like we are all in this together, even though all of us entrepreneurs, we're in our offices, most of us are at home, most of us are by ourselves most of the time, other than our family. And, we connect with like minded people online, like you and I. But, to be in that moment with other people, I think this is what I'm really trying to say. Knowing that they're, most of the people I connect with online, like we're like-minded, and like we can have conversation, like you and I have had conversations about things that the everyday person may not be aware of yet. But yet in that moment, it was just like that all that dissolves, because we are just all one. And it was just really, really interesting to watch. So, so I think that's what I'm trying to say.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that perspective. I kept like looking without my physical eyes while you were sharing, and it created the picture of like how my perception puts together a picture of how you might have perceived it, like how it might have happened, seeing people, seeing the world, seeing the light, and then mixing with my own perception from the actual experience that I had on this end. And so it kind of put more puzzle pieces to the picture, which was in a
Yeah.
beautiful way.
Yeah.
Like so cool. So
And
cool.
I will share one more thing that you probably won't hear anywhere else. Because I never knew this, but as it's going darker, the shade of the light is so different. I don't want to compare it to this because it's such a terrible comparison, but I'm going to because y'all know me. I'm just gonna be who I am here. And in the Terminator movie, like the right before the whole thing just explodes, there's this strange brightness. Um, and it's not that blinding, don't get me wrong, but it was it was like the whole world or the whole scene like had a filter on it, like a light filter on it that was brighter. And it's such an odd thing. But I'm just watching this. I'm like, girls, like, do you see this light? Like, I probably sounded like I was on drugs. I'm like, do you see this light? Like, I've never seen light. Like, do you understand? Like, this is different light. You see,
Were your
and
kids
it was
able to
such an
see? Were they?
odd color or lack of color. I don't know how to explain it, but it was bright, even though it was actually going more into the shade. So it was an iridescent. It's hard to explain, but anyway, that was eye opening for me because I'm like, I can't believe that I'm seeing the grass in this light. So anyway, it was a moment for sure, all the way around.
What a beautiful metaphor especially the last thing that you just said, reminds me of that always in the dark there's light.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Right. And that is then, before I'm curious as a next step to see now what has happened to you or with you, or what you're experiencing ever since then, like how has your life maybe changed, or how you're perceiving things differently. I can share, and I will share an example a bit later, definitely, but what it has opened up for me. I mean, what always happens when we have this huge amounts of light, and there's beyond the eclipse, there's been so many solar flares recently, if you look at the last 2 weeks, plus minus, right? It's now middle of April. So there's been so many solar flares, and what happens naturally when there's a higher amount of light, obviously it shines light on all of that which has been dark before, which again brings all our individual stories up that we haven't looked at yet, or the same topic of the things that we just haven't seen that additional perspective of, right? And obviously I've had some beautiful processes just following the weeks after. And so, but you already said something for you, something that has shifted around the perception of time. So that's probably for everyone listening something interesting as well. So maybe they have perceived that as well. And I had that moment as well, but you had also a special moment around that, right?
I did. Well, I did on Sunday, specifically this past Sunday. So this would have been the Sunday right after the eclipse. But the weekend in general, but I remember saying to myself on Sunday, because I was doing some spring cleaning around the house and like getting rid of, and it was one of those things too. Maybe other people are experiencing this. So like, I'm just ready to like get rid of some stuff. And as I'm doing this, I'm like, this is, taking a while. And I kept looking at the clock, and it was like something that I felt like should have been at least an hour had gone by. It was like 15 minutes, and it was just crazy. And this has happened to me before. And, I've just chalked it up to, oh, it's one of those energetic days, like time is expanding. And I'm like, cool, because I'm doing spring cleaning and I could really use the extra time. And so I was just really able to get like a lot done. And then the funny thing then was I was listening to a reel or something from one of the spiritual people I follow. And she validated it. She was like, did anybody else experience the expansion of time over the weekend? And I was like, oh yeah, totally. And so it's just really cool because we are in such uncharted territory that when we have these moments and, you and I know enough to know to be like, oh, it's one of those days, like, cool. But when somebody else experiences it too, and it's just like really, really, really validating, and it's exciting. It's really exciting. So.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. I had that, most funny enough, that's what we shared before we recorded here. I had it on the same day, on the Sunday was the day where I felt that as well. I didn't have this 1 second moment, but I felt like when it was my afternoon time, I had felt like the day had been like weeks. I had that sensation when I reflected back, oh, when did this day actually start? What's the things that I had on mind? I couldn't even tell at some point, was that yesterday or was it the day before? Was that today? Because it all felt like one huge piece of time that is not moving, that is just was so slow that it just seems endless and infinite.
Yeah.
Where you just move, but time is out of the equation in a way. I mean,
well, and just think about the eclipse that was just over a week ago. Right? Like, that's what I'm like, am I right? I mean, it's really something. It's really becoming, we know, people listening to this podcast, that it's all energy and we're all energetic beings, and there's no real such thing as matter. And I think we're going to really start to feel, I'm already feeling way more of that than I even was before. Like, I had to be a little more conscious of it before, or in meditation, of course, but now it feels like I'll I didn't share this with Judith earlier, but like, I'm doing it right now. Like, yesterday I had such a hard time on my coaching calls. Like, I had such a hard time. Like, my mind is becoming more airy. So much so that at one point I was like, I have to give a talk on stage in a few weeks, like in front of people, not virtual. And I'm like, I hope that I can kind of like work this out a little bit, because I need to, you know, I'm fine with channeling, but it wasn't even channeling right. Like it was just kind of like floaty, you know? So there's
Yeah,
that.
I had like a few days like that actually. That remind when you just said that reminds me there in my neighborhood here where I live in Düsseldorf, there's around the corner a girl opened a store with crystals and all kinds of these beautiful things. So of
Mhm.
course I walked in and of
Yeah.
course I bought another crystal and of course we started talking. And I had the same conversation with her, like next to the fact that within 5 minutes we were like, oh, we need to do a workshop together for people. That was one
Awesome.
thing, which was just fun. But the other thing was like, she looked at me and I looked at her and was like, you're not really grounded at the moment, are you? I'm like, no, I feel
Mm.
like I'm somewhere in space, but I can't really ground myself the way that I usually can. And
Oh my gosh. Keep going, but I just got a really big intuitive hit on that. Go ahead.
yeah. And then, but I'm looking at her and she's like, yeah, you can see I'm feeling the same. I'm like, yeah, right. He's like, yeah, that's probably the time. Something is shifting. And then we got into a conversation about timeline shifts and all of that within 10 minutes being in that store.
Yes.
And that was fun, but it is exactly maybe what you just said. You know, we are in these timeline shift eras, if we want to say so, and then to allow to drop into this, to not be scared that we lose touching base or lose the grounding overall. It is being transported in a way, you know, that is, to me,
Mhm.
it was a notch I got from that one little next element or puzzle piece, if you want, towards this being and not more doing.
Mhm.
You know, and at some point it's like the current is guiding you for a little while. Until then you will see the next breadcrumb and be like, oh cool, this is now where I'm moving again, like actively. But the
Right.
current will take you for a little while and it's
Right.
fine. So yeah, but go on, you had this impulse.
That we're supposed to ground into the new earth.
Oh
We're not
yeah,
supposed to ground into this one anymore. That, and I
totally.
hadn't done that. And it's not that we're let me be clear. I know we're not getting on spaceships and going to a new earth. At least that's not what I believe. And if you do, that's fine. To each their own, right? Take what resonates, leave the rest. But just that we're energetically leaving this, like, I wouldn't necessarily, I don't know how long the shift is going to take. I don't think we're going to be in 5D or anything like that, but that this new timeline, like ground into this like more crystallized earth than the whatever this earth is, not crystal.
Yeah,
Crystal,
definitely part of the shift. Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
But it's not a different earth. It's just a different frequency of the same earth is what I'm trying to say. But we're not feeling grounded to this where we've been anymore.
Yeah, maybe that is, you know, when you guys listen, have your own reflection on that, see what resonates with you, how you feel about that. And maybe these, whenever the day was that you potentially experienced this as well, maybe it was like an unplugging from the old timeline in a way, or the old,
Right.
whatever you want
Well,
to
I'm
call that.
still in it. It's the last 2 days. I'm really it's hard for sorry everybody that's listening. It's hard for me to carry on conversations. It's just I'm not the stream. The stream is not, it's not flowing in that way. It's sort of like this right now.
Rearranging
And what
somehow.
I'm doing, guys, if you're just listening, is usually make like a stream, like a stream. I'm using my hand as a stream, and instead it's just like my hands are all over the place a little bit. It's not, and it's not just ADD, because I have that too, and it's a different thing.
But that reminds me, I love that you shared that, because I had this exactly like maybe what is today's Wednesday? Friday, I guess it was, just a few days ago. And I was guided through this by, maybe you've seen that online somewhere. I started promoting that a little bit. These 5 protocols that I got downloaded. And that was the most profound thing that I have gotten downloaded so far. It was like a full program but has nothing to do with the way we know programs in the coaching space, you know. But it was really 5 that was a challenge for me, actually, to sit there, because I had received it inside. I could see it within in my heart space, like on a big desk. It was like 5 of these, how you call that, like in medieval times when you had these notes, but they were rolled up, and then like a scroll, yeah, something like that. 5 of them neatly next to each other, and I saw how they've been handed to me, and I could feel them within. But then the command, if you want, came. It's like, you got to voice it. And I was like, fuck. How am I gonna, you know, clear everything inside so this will just be purely channeled exactly the way that it's supposed to land for somebody then who will listen to it. The first one took me probably 25 minutes to sit there and to start vocalizing it, because the majority of it comes through in light languages, and just a share of that comes through in human language and English language. So I had to be very careful, either like not to get my own mind in the way in the channeling process, not exactly knowing what it was, while at the same time having the knowing that I was supposed to receive it as well, because it was my path, if you want, to walk through this transportation between the timelines. I felt exactly what you just described, and then they gave me this, and it really came within, boom, here it is. And I was like, okay, now I need to handle it somehow. How can I receive it myself while I also voice it in a way that somebody else gets what it's supposed to deliver? Oh my freaking goodness. The first one was hard, but then the other ones flowed more easily. But what it also did for me, and that was interesting, they came with the agenda was completely clear. The first one was on money imprints. The second one was on standing in your own power. The next one was frequency connection to the earth, to the new earth energy, exactly what you just talked about, rooting in there. The fourth one was about expanding the mind, the consciousness, and rearranging, literally, I've never seen it like that, rearranging the role that your logic brain gets into your ways of operating. It was literally taken to a different place, still integrated because it was needed, but it got a different role of functionality. That was crazy. And then the last one was the infusion of light, like a massive infusion of light, which at the same time, because what light does, brought up all of the dark that hadn't been looked up. And that was a shift in itself. I think the last one is almost an hour long. And it did something with me in a positive way while I was channeling it. But also I got to, I've re-listened to just receive them, to 4 of them already. And this is what the transformation for me is transporting at the moment, which is really interesting. It's at a new level, if you want. It's a different way of learning at such a profound level that I've never had so far. And we never know where all of that stuff goes, you know. I don't know what will be next year, but that was really interesting. And that was the guidance somehow. And I also feel it's not fully complete. I feel, if that is even possible to quantify, like I'm through that maybe 80-ish%, but I feel it's not fully complete. It's still working, processing, integrating. And yet at the same time, there's so many new things coming up. The way I feel in my body, the way I feel even walking on the ground, the way why it's already shifted that I can perceive in my outer reality is how different sorts of opportunities are being brought to me. Different, like on any level. And it starts with the tiny things where you usually think that has nothing to do with that in supermarkets, you know, but up to people online approaching me. And it's like really in all of these different areas, it is like the shift of the timeline is becoming more and more visible and tangible, if you want. And that is really interesting. So I'm still in the middle of it, curious where that will lead, but that is exactly like my perception and my own individual experience of this shift, where everyone listening will have their own. That is what I feel is one representation of what the whole shift in the energy also then massively activated through the eclipse, right? It's really inviting, giving, and providing for all of us. It's like a lot of things that we're being provided. That is how I feel about the whole thing. It's like, hello, humanity, here you go. Here's another gift, right? Here's another beautiful thing for you to integrate now and to explore a little bit, in the sense of like, hey guys, you made it, you're ready somehow to receive this now. maybe you all on average were not 20 years ago, but maybe now with everything being where it is, here we go. Here's the next cool thing for you to check out, like this.
It really does. It feels I resonate with so much of what you said. And it's funny, as you were saying that, I was reminded that the day before the eclipse, we went on our way up on our drive. We went to see one of the largest underground lakes and caves, caverns in the US.
Where is that?
And I've been wanting to go there. It's like a bucket list thing because we pass by there. It's in like middle of nowhere, Tennessee.
Okay.
And I'm always seeing the sign. I'm like, I want to do that. And what a kind of really cool contrast between going so deep, probably deeper than I ever have underground and into the earth. And
True.
then to come up the next day and have such an influx of light, but it
How was
just
the energy down there? How was it to be like down there?
My kids were a little uneasy, and I don't know how much of that was just like logic versus feeling, but it felt, how did it feel? There was, looking back at it, I don't know that I noticed this at the time, but it felt like I don't know how to explain. I can't explain. There's no words to explain it. But it was really cool to be there and to be in such a place so far deep down. And there's beautiful crystal blue lake at the bottom. And it was really something. But I hadn't connected it at the time. But that contrast between the two, and the fact that we got to do that right before, after all these years of wanting to do it, is really something. But I don't know how it felt, other than just really cool to see. So yeah, I'll have to like sit with that, because I feel like there's something there, like a goodbye, like I should feel really grounded after being way down deep in there, maybe that was part of it, like grounding us. I don't know. I'm not going to ramble about my thoughts on here, but anyway, so anyway, we wanted to talk about this because as far as I'm concerned, it's been far more powerful than I thought it would be. I knew it would be something, but I think it's taken a lot of people, even in the spiritual community, a little bit unexpectedly, like we are moving now, like we are shifting quickly. And so we wanted to acknowledge that and see how everybody else is feeling. So let us know what came up for you. We'd love to hear from you in the comments and everything. And now we need to get to our announcement. So Judith, you want to take it?
Yeah, I can. It is exciting. And as always with change, there's always something, to look back at and to let go of naturally, while we have the excitement of the new things that are coming, right? And so what we've done, this is season 1 of the podcast, if you want, right? When we started, we said we won't have guests in the first place because we wanted to check out how everything goes, have our own experiences on the recording. So we knew some point now-ish this season will come to an end, and then we'd be approaching the next season with having guests on and all of that. And then we took this as an opportunity to check on how would we want to do that, but also to reflect back on the journey so far, and what have we learned and how we're feeling, where are we at. And we've just talked about the massive evolution. I mean, what we've just shared about around the eclipse has just been 2 weeks, right? And it's been massive. So also, you guys listening, look at your own journey. I invite you to reflect back on that for just a second, of the past, let's say 7, 8, 9 months, right? When you look back at where you were, what your reality was like, and all the things that you have evolved from, that you've achieved, how you changed. I bet if you take that second for yourself, you find so much acknowledgement for all of the things, right, that have happened, and how you have changed as a person compared to some point last year. And we did the same thing. and both of us have like massively evolved, massively. And with that, we have new ideas, and then we really had a very honest conversation, like we have in all of the episodes here as well, right? And to make it short, we've come to the point of closure, likewise opening up of a new thing, where we at some point then said, okay, this was great, and we both loved having the experience of creating this thing here, also having you guys feedbacking, and you love this, we love this. But then looking forwards, we were both like, oh, I would love to go more in this direction. And then, oh, I would love to go more a little bit in this direction, because this is where the excitement was more. And then we've decided to end this podcast in the way that you guys know it so far, which means we will keep doing podcasting, but in a different way. Maybe Jana want to come in a little bit on what is your vision of that? What is something that
Sure.
you will or want to already reveal at this point? And what is maybe a little bit secret and a teaser?
Yeah. So, for me personally, like I've so enjoyed talking with Judith, and I don't know how much you all know about. We didn't really even know each other that well when we started, and it was such a beautiful journey to get to know each other on air with all of you and have these conversations. And then it just became clear to me, and Judith, I think, really at the same time, like I want to start having these conversations with a lot of people, and it's particularly in the business space. And so, as we kind of had that conversation, we realized like there's just certain things we want to do a little bit differently when it comes to that. And so we decided that Judith graciously let me just continue on as the Awakened Entrepreneur Evolution. And I know she better come on and let me interview her again at some point, because what I'm going to be doing, what's that?
It's so my pleasure.
I would love that, because I'm going to be having different guests coming on and talking about their experience as an entrepreneur in this space, right? Giving you different perspectives, giving you different experiences, asking the questions that I want to ask around, like, okay, but at this point, which way do you lean? How do you go? Like, do you lean into, okay, I need to play that strategy, or how do you know? And just having those conversations with a lot of different people, particularly those that are really getting at that higher level, because I want to see also, as you get to be more and more and more in the 3D reality, how are you able to hold on too? Because with great power comes great responsibility. And I want to investigate that as well, because, you hear even in the spiritual community, right? If you're not grounded, or if they haven't done a lot of the lower chakra work, as they, not ascend in the way that we usually think, but as they become more and more, that's when you end up with like the sex stuff and the scandals and, and so like, I want to have these conversations with higher level entrepreneurs as well, so that everybody can get a perspective there on that. Because if you're listening to this and you want to grow, these will be things that come up, and it's all well and good when you're solo doing your thing in your office, and that's still a journey to navigate, right? That's what we've been exploring this whole season. But how does it affect you at the other levels too? And so, and of course, I'm going to have some of my friends and others within the coaching community that I just adore, talking about their experience navigating sort of the building of your business in the 3D and 5D. So it's going to be a little bit of a mix there, but I'm just eager to hear about all these different experiences that people are having. And I couldn't think of a better time after the energy that we're in and what everybody's feeling in asking these questions. Because last thing I'm going to say, I am a YouTube junkie, and I'm always watching these podcasts like Next Level Soul, or, some of these wonderful things where they're interviewing spiritual people even. And these people are business owners. And I'd really like to have a business discussion with them, because they are writing books, they are doing retreats, they are putting out courses, they are sending emails, you guys. They're not just sitting on a rock somewhere on the top of the hill. So it's going to be a mix of that as well, because I'm going to be reaching out to a lot of those type of people too, to get that perspective, because selfishly, I want to know.
I love that. Thank you for already sharing. You guys listening, this is a gem. So you guys, you need to keep following along here and watch this when it's coming out, right? So this is really cool. And I will not be silent. So I'm going to be moving out of this project under this brand, but I will also be coming back with a format. I have a new name not finalized, so I cannot reveal yet. But what I can say is, and that took me really over the last weeks, several weeks, to figure this out, because I wasn't sure. I knew I needed to do something else in the realm of publishing something and speaking somehow, but the format or the concept wouldn't come through until it did beautifully. And so what I can say already is that over the last weeks, I know, and you can see that also on my profile headers, like on Facebook or somewhere, it says now the revolution of light. It's the evolution of light. This has been given down to me so many times. And with that, the focus shifts a little bit towards, I'm somehow called to involve this through more industries in a way. So you've heard in some of the episodes here, you've already heard me sharing here and there about the crypto space or the Web3 space, for example, right? Since last year, November, I am in a membership in a format where I'm connecting to 15,000 people around the world that are in that community. And surprisingly, I'm observing that this is 90% men. It's a completely different space. It's a completely, I'm discovering so many things. And that is just this morning, I had a connection call with an amazing leader, also in a completely different space. And that is, I'm not sure exactly, I have to finalize the last things on that, but it is somehow, even there's connections to my old corporate world, not exactly the company that I was with, but it is the whole idea of looking at like a bigger scope. So outside the coaching industry, but how can that is one stream of ideas, if you want, or one narrative I want to definitely bring in there. The curious question of, we all as the coaches and mentors that we are, with all of the amazing skill sets that we have, where or what is the next level of how we deploy this in different surroundings in a way. So there will be a lot of exploration in this, and then it'll be definitely connected to business, but it will be a lot also connected on what is new business models, for example. What is, taking it into, the person I talked to this morning is very much connected also to the Russian speaking community. This is space, there's so many things that we don't know because we don't see. And this is what I want to explore more, bring all the things that are not on the mainstream kind of into this connection in a bigger way. So I will have interview partners on there as well, but it will also have solo episodes, because that is when I received these protocols, they also told me, one part of your purpose is here. You need to speak your wisdom. You just need to speak it out. And then whoever catches it will hear it. And that will result in these solo episodes. I don't know yet if that will be light language channeled or if that will be whatever it is. I don't know, but that was a clear message. Like, you just got to speak that out. Somebody needs to hear that, and just send it out, let it be, and then it will land wherever. So that will be the mix. Solo episodes, but then connecting to different people, I'd say. I'm not even putting on the label of the entrepreneur. They will be somehow in that space, but I can't say yet exactly if it's going to be in this industry or if it's going to be that coach or if it's going to be, probably not. It's going to be probably people with more, like, several different business streams, income streams, however, that won't label themselves as I'm the coach or I'm the XYZ entrepreneur.
Mhm.
That is what I'm seeing and perceiving as well a lot in the moment. For example, in that bigger community in the crypto space that I'm in at the moment, these people I'm meeting there is really interesting and a lot of inspiration to me. So it'll be a bit more in that direction. So open it more up beyond what and with curiosity. So I have no idea what the outcome will be. That will evolve when I'm doing it. But that is the direction where I want to take that in combination through whatever I need to share, whatever wants to come through. So that is what you can get curious about also. And I will probably come out with that around some point in May. So it won't be too long, right? It won't be too long, May-ish, second half of May, I'd say, 4 to 6 weeks from now. So you guys don't have to wait too long, because I know Jenna's not going to pause this for half a year either, right?
No.
There'll be probably a couple of weeks pause here, but not too long. So you guys can be excited and get curious about stuff that both of us will bring on here as well.
And I have to say, like, you know, she hadn't shared that with me. Judith has not shared that with me. So, you know, I'm hearing this for the first time, like you all are. And I feel like it's so needed, you know, because, you know, there's like Jason Shirka, right, with Unified. Like there's so few people right now connecting sort of that, because probably because they're afraid to be like really seen. But, you know, people that are doing a lot of these things for this new way of being, you know, whether it's healing modalities or crypto, you know, all these different spaces, they're kind of like underground, if you will, at the moment. And it's so interesting because you know, everybody's like, well, nothing's changing. And I'm like, it is. It's just not quite visible, you know, but, you know, having somebody like you, and this is at least my interpretation of what you're saying, you know, sort of talking to some of these people that are, you know, entrepreneurs, if you will, in these different spaces and, you know, ushering in this new earth. And so that we can start to spread it around to the consciousness a little bit more, because it doesn't, you know, you hear like, oh yeah, I heard somebody talking about something they're doing over there, and it sounds like it's, you know, free energy or whatever it may be. And you're just, or I'm hearing about like sound vibration theta or med beds there. And so you just pockets. So it'd be nice to have somebody that's like really talking to some of these types of people about what they're up to. Like I said, to spread awareness, right? So that we're not like, if things just totally collapse, or I don't know how that's going to all go down, but it's already there, and it can just kind of like, all right, we got it now, like pass the baton, you know? And so I don't know, that may not be what you're saying, but that's kind of that's how I received it. And that's really exciting.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So that is exactly, you caught that. What you're reflecting back is exactly what I was saying, and the way or the direction that is going to take. So for all of you guys listening, you see, we're both keeping kind of the business context, but just with a slightly different lens, each of us. So, you know, see what resonates most, or if you want to tap into both, you take, you know, what resonates and keep following along. The most important thing is that you feel what resonates with you. You need to see what is the next thing where it draws you in, you know, where is the excitement, where is the curiosity, and keep following along these things. That is the breadcrumbs that I'm always talking about. And last thing I want to say is, if you are thinking of creating a podcast format on your own, that was really one of my biggest learnings. I thought it was way more complicated. Let me tell you, it's not. Just get going, just do it.
Yeah. We did not share the same opinion on that. I always thought, like, as I'm like, well, how hard could it be? Why is it so hard again? And it's really not. It's been a pleasure, you know, just to have these conversations. You show up, you do your thing. And of course, there's some back end pieces to it, but it's not overwhelming, at least most of the time. You know, and the one thing I wanted to say, I lost, see, it's gone. You were talking about, what were you talking about?
A lot of things about people
Oh,
finding their own resonance.
oh, yeah. So I wanted to say also, as an example, we started this just to kind of like put a bookend on this with like let it be fun. We'll see where it goes. No expectations. This isn't supposed to be like, a lead generator kind of like energy at all. And and giving you permission, right, as the listeners to not just let it flow, right? No show notes, no pre-planning, no structure. And on the opposite end of that, or on this other end of this podcast coming to an end, is also feel into when things feel complete. Feel into, don't be like, well, I'm started this and now I have to do it. And like, remember, we're in that space now where we get to um, not feel stuck anymore. And so if you feel that, it's okay. And it's not a failure. I don't think of that like that this at all. It's not a waste of time, like all the things the ego would like for you to believe, but it's really just there's a next thing for you. And so give yourself permission to follow your intuition into that next thing. We get to do that. And that's just how it's going to be, I believe, moving forward. There's no excuse anymore for, well, this is what I've always done, so that's what I have to do. So I'll end there, and I can't wait to see you all back here soon. And Judith, take us out.
That was beautiful ending and closure words of that. So I'm not going to add any more to that other than saying thank you for everyone who has been on this journey with us, who has been with us, sending feedback, just maybe silently listening in, taking notes, not taking notes, having an aha moment, referring that to a friend maybe. Stay tuned and also start whatever is inside of you that you know that you should, in Vertical Karmas, have been starting because it wants to come out and the world needs it. So just go, create
Yes.
it, and we'll say goodbye. Thank you for listening, and keep connected to both of us to not miss and completely be on board once the new things start launching here.
Yes. Thank you all so much. Sending you so much love, and I will see you very soon. Bye for now.
Bye.